Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today I've got a monster video for you guys. It's going to be a ranked episode of This Is Not a Top 10, and it's going to be on my favorite note, leather. Now I've been plotting this video, if you will, for months, and it's something that I really couldn't decide how I wanted to do, because if you go watch my previous This Is Not a Top 10 episodes, there are actually two on the note of leather. Because there were just so many, I couldn't fit them into one. You'll notice that the first one is one of my older videos, and the second one that I did is a little bit newer, but I never ranked them. And I've been really torn on how I wanted to do this video, because I probably could have done a top 100 leather, but that would have taken me forever. So what I decided to do is to do a top 50 leather. Now, if you watch my top 100 countdown, you will notice that I ranked those based on my personal love to wear. Okay, so they weren't the fragrances that I thought were the best compositions. They were just fragrances that I personally love to wear the most. My top 100, if you will. This is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be ranked based on what I think are the best leather notes. Okay, and some of it obviously is my favorite to wear. Because your favorite leather notes will also be your favorite to wear. But it's not going to match up one-to-one with my top 100 is what I mean. So you might see something that's number, the 7th place leather in the top 100 countdown actually be the 10th place leather here. Or, something like that. There are going to be some differences. They're not going to go one for one. So 50 fragrances, top 50 of my favorite leathers countdown. From 50 to 1. Here's my thoughts. But before we jump into it, we are going to do scent of the day, because damn it, that's just, part of the allure of Channel Ramsey. And this is Rochas Majestic Oud. Now, I wore this today because I had a conference, in case you couldn't notice. And so yesterday was a long day, and today was a half day, so I got off early. That's how I'm basically able to do this video. And so these little decants are just easy for me to grab and go. I already reviewed it. I don't have to spend any time thinking about it. I can just throw the fragrance on and enjoy it, and that's kind of that. If you're expecting oud and you know what real oud is, you will be disappointed. If you are open-minded and understand that it's not going to have a oud smell in the same way that a Russian Adam, there's Russian oud right there, Russian Adam Maurice Ladore or Ensar or Bortnikov will, and you can just enjoy the fragrance. I do still think it's a good fragrance, but it's not an oud-centered fragrance, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's do this. Top 50, and I got a bonus, because you can't do a top 50 without a bonus, right? This one just missed out on the cut, but it's worth mentioning. So this is the bonus. This is Moschino pour Homme. Discontinued. The House of Moschino, these were marketed by Euro Italia, I believe. And some people compare it to Bel Ami, which is going to be very close to the top, if not the top. If you know me, that's just how it's going to be with Bel Ami. That's a Grail fragrance for me. And the thing that makes this different, though, is there are these Italian-style spices. So there's things here that you're not going to find in Bel Ami. There's some rosemary and stuff like that. And it is a good fragrance. I just don't enjoy wearing it as much as I enjoy Bel Ami. It doesn't have that heavy, smoky quality that you will sometimes get from Bel Ami, depending on the weather. And so Moschino pour Homme, still worth hunting down if you're a leather fanatic like I am. But if you just kind of want a particular DNA, I would go for Bel Ami over this, if you will. But as far as my favorite Italian leathers go, this would definitely be, in the top 5, maybe even top 3, because there's not many Italian leathers that I really love and adore. I'll mention them when we get to them, but this is one of them. Okay, so let's get started on the actual countdown. Number 50 is going to be Mona di Orio's Cuir. Now, you may think this is low, and this is a new bottle. So this is a newer bottle. Let me grab my handy dandy microfiber cloth to make sure you guys don't have to suffer any fingerprints. And so, a lot of people raved about this fragrance and they love it. And while I do enjoy it, there's castoreum, there's some cade, juniper. So that adds a little bit of freshness with leather, cardamom, and a Papanax. And there's this smoky aspect that comes out of this fragrance. I like it, but for some reason, I feel like there should be more. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like the version before this that came with that champagne, wire top in the square bottle. I wonder if this has been reformulated. Part of me wonders. I've never compared one-to-one. But for the way that people like Robes08 talk about this, you would think it's the greatest leather fragrance of all time. And for me, it's not. You know what I mean? So Mona de Orio's Cuir lands in the top 50, but right at the very back end of it. Okay, next, we've got a brand that I really like. And I'm really growing to think very highly of this brand. This is a leathery, spicy fragrance from Parfum d'Empire, and it's called Cuir Ottoman at number 49. So number 49, Cuir Ottoman, Marc-Antoine Cortiaccio created this. And this probably should be higher, to be honest with you, but I'm still getting to know it. And I will tell you that there is a very expensive Roja Dove fragrance that's coming probably somewhere in the top 10 here. And this is a good replacement for it, okay? It's not going to be a one-for-one replacement. It's not a clone. It's its own thing. But if you like the way that the iris and leather combo is done in the Roja we're going to talk about later, this is one to get your nose on because it's about 1/10 of the price and it's probably very equal quality. I think it's very close to the quality of the Roja. These are very high quality scents that Parfum d'Empire puts out. And there is a little bit of vanilla in the base, vanilla and tonka, just to add a touch of sweetness. But you know me, I don't like sweet. But the leather note here with the iris is just stunning. I love that DNA. Leather and iris, for me, total winning combination. So Cuir Ottoman. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go into huge detail on these because there's 50 of them. And this would take 17 hours if I did. But I'm going to try to give you guys at least a little bit. Okay, next, we are going to go to the house of Amouage. And Amouage has 2 scents on this list. This is the very first one, and it's called Imitation Man. Look at the dent that I put in that bottle. I absolutely love this stuff. This is citron fruit in the top with Turkish rose, iris again. It's an iris leather. You could almost call it like a dirty orris. There's this castoreum vibe. And the way that the castoreum and the rose pairs together, plays off of each other, reminds me very much of Le Dallaire Exquise, Eugene's from You Smells Good's fragrance that Antoine Lee created for him, which I actually purchased my order today. Today's the day you can actually go buy a bottle. And so it is September the 8th, 2022. So it's up online. You can go to lesabstraits.com, place your order right now, and hopefully he gets them shipped in the next couple days, he said. So cannot wait to get that bottle. I think that is an amazing fragrance. And if you like that DNA, check this out. This has more of a leather note, actually. That's a tough one. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should wait to really do a full comparison. But my feeling is that La Dallaire Exquise has more castoreum. Castoreum can give off this leathery vibe sometimes. So they both feel leathery. I don't have that fragrance yet, so we're going to go with Imitation Man. But this is an amazing fragrance. Very few people talk about this anymore. I know Guerlain really likes it, and it deserves a spot to be talked about more. Okay, next, we're going to go to a fragrance that there's not very much information on. And I got this off of eBay. Someone sold this to me for nothing, basically. It was like 10 bucks. I don't think they knew what they had. It's a fragrance from the house of Del Oro, and it's called Russian Leather II. So if you look at the bottom, you can see it says Cosmetics Long Beach. Cosmetico is the company, Cosmetico. And this is... Oh, if you know Russian leather with that leather and birch combo, that leather and smoky birch, You know, that leather and old book smell, that leather and, you know, they used to use things like seal fat or urine or all kind of crazy stuff to cure leather, you know, and the Russians were known for curing their leather in a way where their soldiers could basically, you know, march for weeks, months, and years, and their leather boots would hold up better than many other armies of the world. That's how Russian leather became so popular in the 1800s and then going into the 1900s. But this has this, you know, fitted glove, this, you know, old boots, you know, like you're smelling worn in boots, which is perfect for a Russian leather scent. And this is an amazing find for me. I don't know if you'll be able to find it because it's a one-off. It's very rare and hard to find. But if you do ever get a chance, Del Oro Russian Leather 1 or 2, I think, is worth a sniff. And I think this company just disappeared decades and decades ago. Okay, next we're going to talk about a Guerlain. And this is the only Guerlain from this collection in this list. Although I will just give a quick shout out to Cuir Ottoman. That almost made the list. It probably would have been next had I not featured Moschino. If I did 2 honorary mentions, Cuir Ottoman by Guerlain would have made the list. But I'm going with Bois Mysterieux. Bois Mysterieux is the new form that you'll find this in. And the vintage is Songe du Bois d'Et. Same fragrance. But it's basically Thierry Wasser's response to a challenge given to him by people in the Middle East that said that Frenchmen do not know how to do Arabic-style perfumery. And so this is this bay leaf with Middle Eastern saffron, patchouli, myrrh, and leather. So if you go to Fragrantica, it'll say oud. It won't say leather. I think this is a leather perfume. I don't think there's oud in this. It doesn't smell like there's oud in this. It smells like leather. And if you kind of tweak your brain when you go into this to expect leather, you'll get a different wearing experience. If you're trying to find the oud, it's going to seem a little strange to you. But I think this is a fantastic fragrance. One of the best from the lines. And it comes in at number, where are we? 46. Del Oro Russian Leather was 47. Bois Mysterieux is 46. Okay, next we're going to go to a new acquisition, and this is number 45, and this is Ted Lapidus pour Homme from 1978. Now, unfortunately, this is long discontinued, so you can't just go and buy this. Oh, let's see here. I'll give you guys just a quick, there you go. There's the little breakdown with the gold pen. Oh, it is so good. This probably could easily be higher. Like Cuir Ottoman by Parfum d'Empire, I'm getting to know this. And so I didn't feel comfortable putting it any higher. But my guess is once I get to know it better, that this would climb on this list. I would expect this to climb. It's a fantastic old school leather. There's this aldehydic opening, and there's also an amazing note of spruce, which spruce is a very underused note in perfumery. I think spruce should be used more often, and you know, there's a spruce note in Oriental Velours by Les Indemodables, and I absolutely love that fragrance. But here, the spruce mixes with the leather, the spices, the clove, and that old school 70s oak moss castoreum combo. It's just stunning, masculine as hell. I absolutely love it. Ted Lapidus pour Homme from 1978, not Lapidus pour Homme from 87. Ted Lapidus pour Homme from 1978. Okay. So now we're going to go to a fragrance that I bought, wore, loved, bought a backup, okay? So when I buy a backup, you know it's a scent that really captures me. And this is Daniel Hechter Caractere. Now, this fragrance, surprisingly, is still in existence. This is the vintage. The new stuff has this, well, first of all, the eau de toilette is not on the bottom of the bottle, it's on the top, okay? And also above Daniel Hechter is not written here, it's written down here, and there's like this flag looking thing. That's a new bottle. The old bottles will show Parfum Daniel Hechter. There you go. There's the bottom of this particular bottle. I also bought a backup of the vintage. I have no clue what the modern stuff is, okay? Right hand to God, never smelled it. So, if you can find a vintage, I would urge you to probably do that, since this has notes that easily could be reformulated. There is old school castoreum, there's leather. That's one of my favorite ways to build a leather accord, by the way, castoreum, and and leather, oak moss, that kind of stuff. I love it when they build a leather accord using castoreum. And there's spicy old school carnation. There's green artemisia in the top. There's a little bit of funk, a little bit of this Koros funk in the opening. It came out in '89, but it feels like an '81 release. It's an absolutely amazing fragrance, and I don't know why the House of Daniel Hechter waited until '89 to put this out. It was like, they were a designer house for decades. Why did they wait until '89 to finally do this? And then why haven't they done much else? It's a mystery, but that is a fragrance that just, defies logic. Why did they do it? Who cares? Grab it. It's worth getting. It's amazing if you're a vintage lover like I am. Okay, now here's one where this has been discontinued probably for the last 22 years. This bottle is from, I want to say, the late 90s or maybe early 2000s. But the really old stuff from the 80s is very sought after. I would love to have a vintage bottle of this, but they are so hard to find and so expensive. And this is called Macassar by Rochas. And Macassar is going to come in at 43. Daniel Hechter character was 44. So Macassar at number 43. This is green leather, basically. It is this creation by Nicholas Mamounis and Roger Pellegrino, and it's got tarragon, pine, geranium, spicy geranium and carnation with oak moss, a little bit of castoreum, not as much as stuff like, Ted Lapidus pour Homme, and leather. And it's like, it's like smelling something that has some woods to it as well, because there's this cedar note. And so it's like cedar, leather, green. I mean, it's like wearing the Hulk. Literally, it is a Hulk of a fragrance. And don't let the light yellowish juice color surprise you. This is dark green. And, oh, absolutely amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. I wish I could find a old bottle of Macassar, but I will just cherish my, bottle from 22 years ago. Long discontinued. Okay, now another one you're going to have a hard time finding information on. You can find it on Fragrantica, and you can find it other places too. You just have to hunt a little bit. This is Kolnishch Juchten by Farina. And so Farina is a German house, I believe. There's you can see the name there on the top of the cap. And so Kolnishch Juchten, there's the name of the fragrance. The house is Rote Farina Mark, and this is a smoky, leathery, ambery, woody, animalic fragrance. I mean, there's so much going on here. It's Russian leather. Okay, so these two share some commonalities, actually. They are kind of like two peas in a pod. But this brand goes back to 1780. When did this brand? Early 1700s, I think. They've been around forever, literally. And unlike some brands that fib on how long they've been around, they actually have been around doing this forever. There's also this olibanum note in here. So there's the smoky birch, there's the Russian leather, and there's the olibanum and a costus note. Costus is like this animalic smelling plant, and so there's costus in here as well. And usually Costas can give off this wet animal, you know, this wet dog vibe. But here it's very intelligently dosed. If you like a Russian leather, I mean, this is one of the best, one of the classics. So happy to be able to own this and experience this, and I will review it one day. Okay, now one of my favorites. This is a very intelligently dosed. This is, look how I'm dressed today. This fits this dress perfectly, by the way. If you dress like this, if you want to put off a sophisticated vibe, I absolutely love this fragrance. This is Oscar de la Renta Pour Louis. Now, some people keep saying this smells like Antaeus. I don't get that at all. This does not smell like Antaeus to me, you know, at all, actually. It's spicy and it's woody. There's a lot going on. There's an aldehydic opening with lavender, green galbanum, sage, it's spicy. And again, you got the carnation geranium combo. And the base is labdanum, leather, oak moss, real oak moss in the old stuff. This is a Sanofi bottle, Sanofi. And I hear that the new stuff is still good. This might be one to make my, you know, vintage fragrances where even the modern formulation is worth buying. But if you can get the vintage, it's going to have more oak moss. It's going to have more depth. And 1980 this came out. And what's interesting is this came out before Kouros and Antaeus, but it has this sophisticated vibe, almost like the tides are already turning against those animalic fragrances from the early 80s that haven't even came out yet. That's what Oscar de la Renta smells like to me. It smells like you're smelling something very classy, like Santos by Cartier. This is much closer to Santos by Cartier than it is Antaeus, to me personally. Okay, next is one of my favorite Italian leather fragrances. Definitely in the top 5. This is smoky Italian leather with oak moss, and it's green, it's spicy, it's Francesco Smalto Pour Homme. So let's go back to our countdown, shall we? Oscar de la Renta Pour Louis was 41, so this is number 40. All right, so we've done the top 10, or the 50 to 40 countdown. This is number 40. And Francesco Smalto Pour Homme is exactly how I described it originally. It is green, it's spicy. The dry down gives this smoky leather-like quality with lots of green notes. You know, it's almost like a take on a fougere, but dries to a smoky Italian leather with a fougere, you know, skeleton. It's an amazing creation. I absolutely love this stuff. And even though I think a lot of people would probably consider this a winter wear, I like to wear my fougères in the hotter weather. So I will reach for this in the Texas heat sometimes, and it is absolutely beautiful. Okay, we're going to go to a Creed. Yes, Creed has a leather fragrance on this list, and they come in at number 39. And this is Royal English Leather. Now, I don't have a cap, but it would be a great cap. Royal English Leather. Don't believe the marketing that says this came out in 1780. It did not. If this came out in 1780, you know, it didn't. Let's just put it that way. It didn't. They, you know, Creed, I would love to know who created this. This is one of the problems with the whole Creed story, is there are fragrances where the perfumers deserve credit on the you know, on the search engines like Fragrantica, like Parfumo, like Base Notes. And if you notice now, if you go to Green Irish Tweed, it lists Pierre Bourdon. If you go to Royal Oud, it lists Julien Rascanet. They should list who created this, and they should list who created Acier Aluminum and stuff like that. It's in the book. It's in the Ghost Perfumers book, who created Acier Aluminum 40 years ago. No one cares, which really is shocking to me. You know, here's someone who created an amazing fragrance that Olivier Creed basically stole from him when he was a young man. And, you know, obviously he paid him, but he didn't pay him what it was really worth, because he's a kid. He didn't know what it was worth. He didn't know the worth of his hard work yet, right? and he's not given credit for it. Even 40 years later, that is an absolute shame. So I would love to know who made Royal English Leather, because I absolutely love it. And Royal English Leather is one of my favorite fresh leathers. Creed does fresh fragrances, and that was one of their strong suits, is fresh fragrances that you can wear anytime, any place. So this bergamot with mandarin orange with amber, leather, and sandalwood. That Creed creamy sandalwood that they were known for. But the leather is fresh and a little bit spicy. And yeah, I mean, I love this stuff. Whenever I think about a Creed I want to wear right now, it's not a Ventus. It's not, it's not any of the other big hitters. It's this. I want to wear this now. This is the Creed that I have really been taken with. One of the best value for monies too, because I think they used to sell these great caps for like 120 bucks or something retail a decade or 15 years ago, before Aventus came in and changed everything. But yeah, man, Royal English Leather is absolutely stunning. It's a shame it's discontinued. Okay, next we're going to go to a Dior. And there's another Dior coming later in the list. And this is number 38. And this is Dior Homme Parfum. Sorry for the fingerprints there. Dior Homme Parfum. And Dior Homme Parfum is a 2014 release, sorry. And it was created by Francois Demachy. Francois Demachy doing what he does best, riffing on other people's work. This is powdery iris with sandalwood and leather. And it is just stunning. It smells like there's an oud note in here. I don't think there is any oud, but maybe there's a drop. But it's such a beast. It's such a powerhouse, and it's so posh. I could easily wear this wearing this. But it feels like it's a going out fragrance. It doesn't feel like you're going to wear this and go sit in an office, because there's so much draw. There's so much, attraction in this fragrance to me, and I absolutely love wearing it too. This is, this whole line, Dior Homme, is one of my favorite designer lines of all time. I love the original Silver Stem from 2005. I love the Parfum, and I love the Intense. I've got a 2013 bottle of the Intense. This is a 2000 and, I want to say 17, but I'm not sure. It's 7Q02, I think, is the batch code. But, yeah, it is the old 75 ml bottle before they switched to the 100. So it is pre the 100 ml reformulation. But I love this stuff. I'm so glad I have this. And it is one of my favorite designers. Dior Homme Parfum. Okay, now we're going to go to a fragrance that basically earned, it really earned its place on this list. Amouage was not the first place that I really started to look. So at number 37, we have Epic Man. And so Epic Man, when I think about leather fragrances, usually it's not Amouage that comes to mind. You think of Amouage for frankincense and stuff like that, but they have two on this list. And this is a fantastic leather. You can see it has this wood grain like, stand. That's what the box looks like, wood grain. And there is this woodiness to it. It's spicy. There's cumin and frankincense and cardamom and nutmeg and all this other stuff that they list, and it's all there. It is. But underneath it all, you get this oud castoreum leather combo. And Amouage does this castoreum leather combo so well. I mentioned it with Imitation Man. Now I'm mentioning it with Epic Man. And this fragrance, I mean, this is Rhonda Hamami's masterpiece. And she's a perfumer who I don't even think I've ever heard of anything else that she did. I mean, with work like this, I don't understand why. Why hasn't she done more? Wow. It is absolutely stunning. I love this stuff. Epic Man at number 37. Okay, let me put this back so I don't drop it or lose it. Next, we're going to go to a fragrance that I wore within the last couple months. And, you know, the last wear that I gave it really highlighted the leather note for me. And it's Luciano Pavarotti for men, 1994. This came out. David Appel is the perfumer. Oh, this is so good. Now, this is a lot of other things going on as well. It opens up with, you know, some lemon, bergamot. There's even an ivy note in here, which is very rare. Petitgrain, rose, geranium, clove, iris, patchouli, cedar, amber, oak moss, honey. There's a lot of honey in here. A Papanax, there's resins, tonka, vanilla, a little bit of vanilla in the base for sweetness. But is the base is anchored by this smoky Russian leather, which blindsided me last time I wore it. I mean, slapped me across the face and made me go, holy shit, Ramsey, how did you miss that the first couple times you wore it? And it's definitely there. Beautiful smoky Russian leather. You know, I wish I had a second bottle of this. I do have maybe 20 or 30 mils in decant form too. So this is a 75 ml bottle, I believe. Yeah, 75. So I've got 75 and another 20. I've got 100 mils, let's say. But boy, I'll tell you what. I sent this to Rachel, and I think she said her husband took one sniff and said, we need a bottle of this. And I completely see why. Rich Mitch said that the bottle looks like a bust of him singing, you know, shoulders out, really inflecting his voice. Amazing fragrance. One of the best celebrity fragrances of all time. Okay, next we're going to go to a Jean-Claude Elena. And I know when you think Jean-Claude Elena, you do not think this fragrance. Or you don't think leather when you think Jean-Claude Elena. But this fragrance, it's really grown on me. In fact, it didn't even make the top 100. It's not even in that list. And now here it is at number, Pavarotti was 36, so number 35. So here it is, number 35 on my top 50 leather fragrances, and it's Cuir Ottoman. And again, remember, I'm judging the leather note, not just the fragrance itself. So this is my countdown of my favorite leather notes in perfume. Cuir Ottoman is absolutely amazing. It's a mixture of his simplicity. Jean-Claude Elena is known for very simple, okay? You know, almost watercolor fragrances, the way that Eugene describes it. And he's right. This came out in 2014. It's leathery. There's some hawthorn, which hawthorn always adds this white smell, this white, you know, not even necessarily heavy white floral smell to me, but it just adds this tan color. Like the fragrance literally smells like the way that the juice looks. You know, the color scheme here is perfect. And I think he used some of the ingredients that his master used in a fragrance which is coming up later on in the countdown. So you'll smell some of the fragrances like Declaration, and I don't want to give it away yet, but if you know who his teacher was and what he created, you know the homage that he is giving to him in this fragrance. So there's little bits and pieces of a very famous Hermès fragrance from many years gone by. And it's just, you know, this is another one of those fragrances that I think I could wear in the summer. I mentioned, you know, Creed's Royal English Leather as a summery leather fragrance. And this is another one. This is a fragrance where I feel like I could wear this in the summer. Definitely. Definitely I could wear this in the summer. Because it has that Jean-Claude Elena transparency. Normally I don't like that. I like the heavy leathers, as you'll see as the countdown goes on. But this is just done so well that I just cannot overlook it. And the more I wear it, the more it reveals itself to me, you know? Absolutely stunning stuff. So glad I have a bottle of this. It's a tester, so I don't have a cap, but honestly, I don't care. I honestly do not care. I'm just glad to have a bottle. So there you go. Cuir Ottoman at number 35. All right, 34. We're getting into the big hitters here. So, Caron's Yatagan. Now, I've got a backup bottle of this too. And it's backup bottle worthy. This is amazing stuff. It is spicy. It's woody. It's forced floor-like. You know, it has this it has this, you know, I've mentioned it before, leaves decaying in one place, like moisture gets in, a bunch of leaves fall on the ground and they begin to dry and rot. And, you know, you let's say you come along and kick the leaves and disturb the dirt, and, you know, it was covered, so moisture was getting in there, and it gives off that earthy, forest floor, dirty-like smell. There's a lot of that in here. There's galbanum, there's tarragon, which I love. There's pine, vetiver, and leather, of course, in the base, loads of oak moss, and loads of castoreum. This is one of the best old school castoreum fragrances you can get. Completely masculine, totally 100% masculine. Another one which didn't make the list, which easily could have, is this, Punjab. So just real quick, not that it's in the countdown, but I want to show you, if you like this, I would recommend Punjab. This is also a leather fragrance. Just missed out. This would probably be in the top 60. You know, if we did a top 60 instead of a top 50, Punjab would be in it. Okay, so Yatagan comes in at number 34. Number 33. And I'm bringing out a decant, so I'm going a little different from my top 100. My top 100, I said, I'm not going to do any decants, full bottles only. And some people said, that's dumb. If you have a decant, you love it that much, put it in there. I said, fine. So I'm going to follow their advice this time, and we're going to do a decant. And this is Cuir Ottoman by the House of Dior. And Cuir Ottoman climbs the ranks so high because, so it comes in at number 33, because it does something that I absolutely adore. I just cannot get away from it. No matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I try to diversify my love of leather and iris, I can't. And I just have to admit that I absolutely love that combination. Leather, iris. There are florals here too. So if you don't like florals, this might be a tough one because it's a very floral take on a leather perfume. There's jasmine, rose, orange blossom, but it's the iris that my nose just, you know, it just seeks it out like a bloodhound. Like I need to find the iris, and my nose hones in on the iris and the leather combo, and I just love it. I have about 15 to 20 mils of juice in decant form of Cuir Ottoman. And, I mean, Francois Demachy gets a lot of, he gets a lot of hate. And rightly so. He deserves it. But some of these earlier creations from 2010, 2012, 2014 of the Dior Privés were very good. This one, I think, deserves more love. So Cuir Ottoman comes in at number 33. Okay, number 32. And again, only judging the leather note. This was much higher on my top 100 countdown. And it's a fragrance by the house of Rocco Barocco, and it's called Joint pour Homme. So this is the box. This is a bottle that Amouage actually found me. This is a backup. I've got a, I believe, 100 ml, but the name has completely worn off. So you can see the writing on the inside. Beautiful little touch. And I actually really, really like this fragrance. So there you go. That's what the bottle looks like. Little wood grain right here on the cap. Rocco Barocco. How's that for an Italian name? Oh, I love this stuff. Basically the way I would describe this is Joint pour Homme is this amazing mixture of an 80s fragrance released in the 90s, completely out of time. You know, when stuff like Cool Water and a couple years before Acqua di Gio hit and became such a hit, Rocco Barocco released this. And thank God that they did, because this was completely out of left field. They gave two shits about what the market was gunning for, and they said, we're going to release whatever the hell we want. And kudos for them. I love this stuff because it has this honey tobacco. If you like the honey and Lapidus pour Homme, Boss number 1, that kind of honey that I absolutely love, it's here. But there's also this animalic vibe from the 80s. So you'll get this civet, you know, a little homage to Koros. But it's different. It seems a little bit more green. Okay, so there's green notes, there's basil and coriander and stuff like that. There's artemisia here to add to the greenness of the top. And then the leather in the base. And the leather in the base is not as prominent a note as some of the ones that come next in the countdown. So that's the reason it's here and not higher. But as a fragrance composition, I think this would leap many of the other ones we're about to talk about. But Joint pour Homme is, man, if you can find it, you know, and this 50 ml bottle, I think Amouage charged me 60 bucks or 70 bucks maybe. You know, if you can find 100 ml for 100 or 150, no brainer, absolute no brainer, get it. Okay, next we are going to go to another Demachy creation, and this one I do have a full bottle of, but I have a newer full bottle, believe it or not. And this is leather. Wait a minute. What are we doing? That's not correct. I'm sorry. That is not correct. I'm going to take that back. Pardon my hiccup there. So that was 32, Joint pour Homme. 31 is this. This is Rochas Fetiche. Now, this is a theme on Bel Ami. And it's a theme on Bel Ami. 100%, you can't argue it. At its heart is Bel Ami, okay? But what Rocha did is he did what he usually does, which is he Rochas stuff up. He adds his own little twist to classic fragrances of the past and charges $500 for 50 ml. Is it worth it? No. Am I a sucker? Yes. Is it a great fragrance? Yes. Leathery, spicy. There's a fig note here to add a little bit of contrast. And leather with labdanum. He claims real ambergris. We'll take his word for it. But it's that elemi frankincense thing that he did, amping up the incense. So it's Bel Ami with amped up incense, if you will, and tiny little details that Rocha added here and there, like the fig and stuff like that, that makes it a little unique. I love this stuff. That's why it's here. But I also am aware of the fact that, you know, it's very close to a clone, okay? A very high-end clone of Bel Ami. And, you know, enough said. We could debate the whole Rocha clone issue for hours and hours, but it's good enough that it made my top 50 favorite leathers. How about that? Okay, next we're going to go to another fragrance that is technically many consider a clone. And this is Clive Christian C for men. Ostrich box, me lord. Yes, ostrich box. Spicy, leathery. This is a take on a fragrance that came out a couple years before this. This came out in 2010, and Clive Christian C is number 30 on the countdown. And if you like Tuscan leather, you will like this. It is like Tuscan leather with it's like niche Tuscan leather. Okay, not that Tuscan leather isn't niche already, but it's Cristian Provenzano's take on Tuscan leather. They've added some things that weren't in Tuscan leather, like tea and mate tea and stuff like that. They kept the saffron, raspberry. I think maybe they amped up the labdanum, cistus labdanum a little bit. They claim they added oud. I don't get much oud, but it's intense Tuscan leather, if you will, and lots of leather in the base. Leather and, you know, that suede combo, but it's very, very good, and I absolutely love it, and so that's why it comes in at number 30. Okay, number 29. Now we're going to go to the one that I was trying to show you guys earlier, and that is Leather Oud by Francois Demachy. 2010 this came out. And this is leathery animalic. It's got this leather and oud combo, go figure, with leather oud, with birch, so it's got that smokiness that I love, and it's got beeswax. Now, and civet, so there's dirtiness here too. And if you like this, but you don't want to pay $400 a bottle, whatever the hell Dior is asking nowadays for these, you could try, just a little tip, you could try this. This is One Man Show Oud Edition. This will cost you about 15, 20 bucks. And it's not exact, okay? Obviously, it's not an exact clone, but damn, they got damn close. This is a great fragrance. I think this is one of the best $20 ouds you can buy because it's so bombastic. They just don't give a shit. It's just, oh, okay, you wanted an oud accord, huh? Here you go. And they just give it to you. No screwing around, no foreplay. Just bam, there's your oud accord. And yeah, it's you know, they're in the same category, let's say. I think it was definitely inspired by leather oud. Obviously, leather oud is higher quality and all that stuff, but yeah, oud edition, One Man Show Oud edition deserves more love. Okay. Next is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. So we're down to number 28, and it is Polo Green. Now, this is the Warner version, but you could easily just go try to find the Cosmere version. Either one. I would say Cosmere or Warner would be the ones I would recommend to go for. The new stuff has lost a step. Some people say it's still good, fine, but I would recommend Warner or Cosmere. Those are the two bottles that I went for. I found a Warner, I found a Cosmere. I feel good, I've got a backup. But Polo Green came out in 78. Carlos Benaim, what a career that guy had. This is leather, pine, tobacco, and tons of oak moss and green notes like basil and coriander and tarragon at the top. It's just, you know, it's what a man should smell like, in my opinion. A man should smell like Polo. That, you know, if you say what's one of an archetypal masculine fragrances of the last 50 years, Polo Green. Just especially from my childhood and stuff like that, Polo Green, no doubt. And the reason it's not higher is because there's so much more going on in the perfume to me. You know, it's about the tobacco and the oak moss and the pine, that the leather, while it's there, you know, if it was more leather dominant, I think I could easily put it higher. Okay, now we're going to go to Al Manzano's favorite fragrance. So we're down to number 27, almost the halfway point. This is Balenciaga Portos. As you see, my bottle is empty. I've got a new bottle coming from England, God willing, soon. Which, by the way, it is Thursday, September 8th, 2022. And mentioning England and Rich Mitch, I do want to say condolences to my, you know, friends across the pond. The Queen did pass away today, so condolences to her. What a reign. I mean, 78 years or whatever she had. I think they said she, you know, lived through 14 U.S. presidents, 16 prime ministers or something. Just crazy. But homage to her life and condolences. I know, like, you know, there are people who have been around for 50, 60, almost 70 years who have never known anyone but Queen Elizabeth ruling their country. How crazy is that? But anyways, I just thought of that when I mentioned, you know, I mentioned Rich Mitch, because he's got a bottle of Portos that is hopefully coming over the ocean, hopefully soon. And so Portos comes in at number 27. It is this amazing eau de cologne that came out in 1980. It's green artemisia, one of the best castoreums you'll ever smell. It's castoreum with labdanum, leather, oak moss, and frankincense. And if you like this and you can't find it, you can go for something like Silver by Etienne Aigner. They're very close to each other. Silver is a little bit more dressed up, I think. This is a little bit more 80s chest hair coming out, you know, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But yes, Portos deserves its spot at 27. The leather note there is just, and it's that castoreum leather I love. It's you know, go watch my live stream with Al Manzano. We drool over that fragrance for about 20 minutes. Okay, Next, we're down to number 26, and I am using a decant this time. I have a 15 ml bottle, official bottle from the brand, but I just grabbed my decant because it's easier. This is Histoire de Parfum 1740. One of the most underrated leather fragrances by far of all time. What a leather fragrance this is. This is spicy, leathery. There's this Divana note, which will remind you of Bertrand Duchefort because he loves Divana. But there's birch and leather and immortelle. And it's just, I mean, it's so well crafted. But also, it really hit the brief on the head. It was originally called 1740 Marquis de Sade, I think. And if you look up Marquis de Sade, he was a bit of a sadist sexually. He was imprisoned and all kind of stuff if you look up his life. But I mean, they really captured the brief. That was the original brief. And but as far as, you know, butch, animalic leather, it feels like an 80s fragrance in a niche, you know, bottle, if you will. Because this came out in 2008. This is a niche fragrance from 2008. But it feels like it came out in the 80s. You know, it's got that labdanum, birch, leather. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. 1740, very underrated. Okay, so the halfway mark, number 25. We have another underrated fragrance. And I wish I had more of this juice. But you can't have everything of everything. You know, I'll just enjoy what I have. This is 1984. Edouard Fleischier, one of my favorite perfumers. Everything he did is a hit. This is Davidoff for men. 1984. Green, you know, basil, mugwort, that kind of stuff. With iris, carnation, hay, rose, patchouli, leather, castoreum, ambergris, vetiver, oak moss. Now, that hay note will remind you of tobacco. And they did a very similar trick that Liz Moores did with Tobacco Rose. She released a fragrance called Tobacco Rose for Papillon with no tobacco in it. There's hay. Davidoff released their first masculine, and you know Davidoff had to have a homage to cigars. I mean, that's how Davidoff, the brand, got his start. That's how the man actually got his start, is his father had a cigar shop. His father had a tobacco rolling shop. And they started creating cigars, and off came the company. Took off. And so when they created their first masculine, they had to have a tobacco note in here, right? There is no tobacco note in here. It smells like there's tobacco in here, but it's hay. And it's very well done. And I have both essential oils, or both Ottos, tobacco and hay. And hay could definitely be, you know, it has that dry, crinkly, you know, autumnal vibe. But Davidoff, I mean, the castoreum in this is mouth-watering. If you like fragrances like Portos, this is different. But, I mean, what a leather fragrance this is. Heavily underrated. It's green. It's animalic. It's got frankincense. It's got, I mean, it has everything. Everything you could ask for in a masculine. And it's discontinued, but that's the way it goes. Okay, now, this fragrance is here at number 24 because this is a homage to my favorite leather fragrance of all time. It's no hiding it. You guys know what my favorite leather fragrance is. It's Bel Ami. And it made my #1 fragrance on my top 100. And this is an homage by one of the best current perfumers, I think, of modern time that's still active. You know, because Pierre Bourdon is retired and all that stuff. Antoine Lee created this for the house of Atat Libre d'Orange. And this is Je suis un homme. And Je suis un homme is discontinued, unfortunately. But this is an amazing leather fragrance. It's got cognac and clove and cinnamon. There's some animalic notes to go with the leather and patchouli in the base. And it gives you this Bel Ami vibe in a niche bottle, if you will. It's like niche Bel Ami, but a little bit bright in the top. You know, Bel Ami can sometimes be very smoky and dark and heavy. You know, Sherlock Holmes-esque, London-esque. This is very bright in the opening. Bergamot, bitter orange, and lemon with myrtle. And I absolutely love this. Well, I love the Bellamy DNA, so I can't say no to this. This has to be here. Could be a little higher, could be a little lower, but today it's going to fall at the 24 mark. Okay, now we're going to go to one of the greatest leather fragrances of all time. Could be higher, but I'm putting it here. I have a modern bottle. And I'm wondering, you know, if a vintage would be better. I've never been able to hunt down a vintage, or if I have, it's, God, expensive. And this is Knitze 10. So Knitze 10 is created by one of the greatest, you know, one of the fathers of modern perfumery, Francois Coty. The Francois Coty perfumer, not the brand Coty. Francois Coty, the perfumer, and Vincent Robert created this in 1925 for the Knitze brand, which is, I think they were like tailors or something, haberdashery services or something. But this is this, again, iris leather combination, which I love. That's why it's here. The iris leather is what really gets me. And there's this very distinct Ionone purple vibe that shows up in my head when I smell it. So it, I get this very deep, you know, sunset purple vibe, almost like Le Bleu purple, right? The purple you smell, you feel in your brain when you smell Le Bleu, but with one of the most amazing castoreum leathers you'll ever smell. And it's masculine. I mean, I think it's a masculine leather. That's what it was intended for, but I think anyone can wear it nowadays. I think it's completely unisex. But that combination of, and rosemary's in the top too, which, again, rosemary traditionally is a masculine note to me. But man, it's good. Even in the modern form, it's good. Imagine what a vintage would be. Because I imagine some of this has lost a step. I mean, how could it not? But I've never smelled a vintage, so... But I love this stuff. Old school, macho, masculine. Okay, next, we're going to go to the house of Tom Ford. And this is the original that Clive Christian, you know, basically cloned in 2010. This came out in 2007, and it is Tuscan leather. This deserves to be here. It deserves to be above the clone. Leathery and smoky. Harry Fremont and Jacques Cavalier created this, and this is that saffron raspberry combo with frankincense, leather, and black suede. And it just smells like, you know, it smells like a bad boy in a bar playing pool, you know, couches burnt from cigarettes and, you know, beer spilled on the floor, and he's wearing a leather jacket, he's shooting pool, he's smoking a cigarette. The ashtray is filled with old butts that the people who work there are too lazy to even, you know, empty out, and it smells stale, you know, stale smoke from a pool hall that's been smoked in for 30 plus years. That's the vibe, and I absolutely love it. What a daring fragrance to put out. Oh man, as a leather lover, this is heaven. I love it. And it is coming in at number 22. Tuscan leather, number 22. All right, number 21. This was a toss-up. I couldn't decide whether to put Tuscan leather or this, but I went with this because... Mostly because I only discovered this 3 years ago. And I think I discovered... you know, I think this was like newer to me. And so because it's newer, Tuscan leather seems like it's been with me for a long time. Like it seems like it's like an old friend. But this is still kind of a newer discovery. But I know it well enough that I know I absolutely love it. It's my favorite Andy Tower fragrance of all time, which says a lot, if you will. And it's one of the most artistic fragrances I've ever smelled. It takes you on this amazing journey, you know. This is a grand fragrance, and it's called Lone Star Memories. And Lone Star Memories is a fragrance that Andy created in 2006 to remember a trip to my home state of Texas. And it's leathery, it's smoky. Basically, he uses this green geranium with clary sage and carrot seed. The carrot seed will make you think you're smelling iris. You're not. You're smelling carrot seed, which can give off that powdery, earthy vibe. And tons of cistus labdanum, and leather. And it literally smells like you're smelling like a cowboy, you know, a cowboy's leather belt after a long day, puts it by the fire, you know, starts to turn on some coffee or something, and then he burns it and lays down and passes out. He's too tired to empty it. You know, wakes up, he's got that resins in the air from the burnt coffee and stuff like that, and then he washes himself with geranium scented soap. You know, that's the journey. It's absolutely amazing. What a fragrance. And the leather note in here is mixed with, even though it's not listed in the note listing, I guarantee you it's here. It's mixed with the Andy Tower ambergris, that Tower Odd that he's so known for. And it's just, I mean, for someone who loves artistic fragrances, this is a must, an absolute must to experience. It's an experience. It really is an experience. And that is coming in at number 21. All right, number 20. We are going to the House of Xerjoff. Yes, Xerjoff has one of my favorite leather fragrances. Believe it or not, it's true. And it's damn good, too. It's not shite. Xerjoff as a house is shite. But they do have one gem, in my opinion. Oh, God. And I put this above Knitze 10 because I personally enjoy wearing it more. But Knitze 10 probably should be here because it was the one that founded this smell, if you will. Jacques Flory created this, and he definitely created an homage to Knitze 10. But I like wearing this more. And it is Xerjoff Homme. Now, this is a refill glass bottle that Xerjoff used to do back in the day. I got this from Muda Seer. And this is tarragon, which I love. Iris, clove, lavender, rose, ylang ylang, leather, ambergris, birch, musk, sandalwood, vanilla, vetiver, and cedar. Basically, what you get is this Knitze 10-like smell without the heavy purple ionone vibe that pops in my head when I smell modern Knitze 10. And extra smoky. The birch is extra turned up here. It's very intense. Very leathery, very intense. And I love this stuff. I think it's Xerjoff's best fragrance, in my opinion. It's the only one I have a bottle of. And I can't wait for it to turn cold and start wearing that more. Okay, now one of the greatest masculines of all time. We're down to number, Xerjoff Homme was 20, so we're down to number 19. This is Aramis Cologne. If you can find the one that says Cologne, get it. That's the older one. They changed it to Eau de Toilette, 25 years ago or whatever it was. But, oh my God. I mean, this is Bernard Chant masterpiece. Green Artemisia, some animalic clover, those aldehydes like only Bernard Chant does. And then you've got the orris, cardamom, leather in the base with oak moss and castoreum in the base. Castoreum with the leather to create that leather. My favorite type of leather. Patchouli, sandalwood, musk. Oh man, this is so good. It's spicy. Spicy leather. So masculine. Okay, now this fragrance skyrocketed in my mind as far as my favorite fragrances. It's leathery, it's smoky. It's I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime fragrance, honestly, for a perfumer. And I think this is my favorite from the house now. I just have to admit it. I keep saying Salome is my favorite, but I think this is my favorite. Salome should be my favorite because I love those, Liz Moore's called it sex on the skin. Salome smells like, she called it a post-coital fragrance, actually, which is a very English way of saying that. It smells like a body after having sex. And I normally love those type of animalic fragrances, but this fragrance really has taken me. This one, I think, jumped Salome and has become my favorite Papillon fragrance. And this has this amazing suede note. And suede with immortelle, florals, labdanum, tons of labdanum, tons of resins. There's tons of amazing stuff in here. Frankincense, Egyptian jasmine, pink lotus. It is Anubis. Oh my God, this fragrance. Oh, oh wow. And when you wear it, it wears like an X-ray. If you spray it on your skin, it'll last for ever. I mean, it's a 12-hour fragrance easily. And the fact that she kept it as an eau de parfum and not an X-ray is amazing. That she was able to, that she's able to offer it at that price. I think it's a high value for money. That's number 18, Papillons Anubis. Okay, 17 is a discontinued Dior, at least in this form. They did re-release it, but the re-release, Rich Mitch said, was, you know, too green in the opening. They didn't hit the opening very well. I've never smelled it though, but I'm taking his word for it. And so we are at number 17, and this is Dior Jules, or Jules, if you will. Jules is Jean Martel's creation, who created my father's signature scent, Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. And this is spicy, woody, leathery. There's cumin, tarragon, winning combination in the opening with bergamot and lavender. There are some florals like jasmine, carnation, rose, but don't worry, they're swallowed up by everything else. And oak moss, leather, and suede in this one. And I get castoreum, even though there's none listed. I think there's castoreum. There's also this tonka vibe in here, but I absolutely love Jour. What a fragrance this is. And, you know, this is all I have, but damn, I'm cherishing it. Okay, next we're going to one of my favorite Italian fragrances. My favorite's coming up very soon after this, but this is number 16 on the countdown, and this is Trussardi's Uomo. Okay, so Trussardi Uomo was created by a woman named Beatrice Piquet in 1983. Oh, and she created a little fragrance you may have heard from Guerlain called L'Instant de Guerlain. Eau de Parfum now is what they call it. Eau Extreme is what they called it in the old days, and then the EDT a year before. But Trussardi Uomo is one of my favorite Italian leather fragrances because it has this grandma's spice cabinet vibe, if you will. There's thyme and basil, marjoram, juniper. It's a little bit aldehydic, but it dries with iris and leather, again, which I love, with notes of honey. Vetiver comes in with labdanum, patchouli, leather, of course, oak moss, and musk. And it's just one of my favorite. If you can get this, and this is the Selective Beauty version, which I hear is not as good as the true original version. And I'm trying to buy a backup of this. It should be coming from Rich Mitch in the next month or two, but we'll see if it can get here. Okay, next, we are going to the house of Van Cleef & Arpels, and we're at number 15 on the countdown. Van Cleef & Arpels, this is Pour Homme. Van Cleef & Arpels Pour Homme is one of my favorite leather, labdanum, rose combos I've ever smelled. There are some Chypre notes listed, so it smells like you're kind of smelling a Chypre construction, if you will, you know, with the bergamot in the top, the labdanum, and the oak moss, and leather. But the rose really stands out here. It's a big masculine rose, dead smack in the middle of the fragrance. In fact, you could even say that this was part inspiration for Antoine Lee's creation of La Douleur Exquise by the House of Les Abstraits, because this has this amazing castoreum rose combo. The leather here, I think, is much more. It won't smell exactly the same, obviously, because this is 1978 we're talking. But if you want to talk early blueprint, I could see that. I could definitely see it. And I love this stuff. I have a backup. Probably my favorite Van Cleef & Arpels fragrance, although SAR is really good. So is Midnight in Paris. Okay, Guerlain, back in the house. There's another Guerlain coming up closer to the #1 spot. But this is 1965, and this is number 14 on the countdown. This is Guerlain's Abbey Rouge. I've got a backup of this because I love this stuff so much. The leather, you will have to search for a little bit. It comes out in the dry down, and it comes out even more in the vintage. But it's, you know, green lemons and bitter oranges and stuff like that in the opening with rosewood, patchouli, benzoin, vanilla, that Guerlain with leather. And it's inspired by Jean-Paul Guerlain's love of hunting. The red hunting jacket is what inspires the red from Abbey Rouge. And I love the Eau de Toilette. That's the one that I would recommend. The Eau de Parfum is different. If you get the Eau de Parfum, you won't get the leather in the late dry down like this. They used oud and some other things, so it's just a different fragrance. The Eau de Toilette is the one that I would recommend. Citrus, spicy, leathery. Wow, what a fragrance. And this thing lasts 12 plus hours on my skin easily. And that's in Eau de Toilette form. I can smell it when I wake up the next morning, many a times when I wear it. Okay, now we're going to go, so that was number 14. Now we're going to go to number 13, my favorite Italian leather. This is Fendi Uomo. Look at this thing. Look at this just monolith of a bottle. I mean, it's just like, boom. And Fendi Uomo is, there's different versions. So the version that I have is Fendi Profumi SPA Firenze Eau de Toilette. I mean, if you can't find this one, get the Bethco or whatever it is. They're all good. Just try to find this version. If you can find a splash, the lines go up and down like this instead of vertical, but it's the same fragrance. Spicy and leathery. Angelica in the top. I've never met a fragrance with Angelica in it I didn't like. Coriander, marjoram, lavender. Again, it has that grandma's spice-covered opening with carnation and iris and vanilla, leather, vetiver, and a little bit of castoreum. For whatever, I mean, these two could be a toss-up for me because they're very close. Trussardi Uomo from 83 and Fendi. But I think I just prefer the Fendi just a bit. Just a bit. So that's why it's a little higher in the countdown. But they're two of my favorite, 1 and 2 on my favorite Italian leather fragrances, hands down. Okay, one of the best designers of all time. The leather in this perfume, this is number 12. The leather in this perfume does not get the love it deserves. This is Dior's Fahrenheit. Now, this is an 89 bottle. This came out in 87? 88. This is an 89 mini. I've got a 50 ml, I think, from the 90s. And I've got a 200 ml from 2014. And I love them all. But this is a leathery, spicy fragrance. The violet leaf, yeah, the violet leaf in the opening gets all the love. Because it gives you that gasoline-like hit, you know, that everyone loves. Or the people who love Fahrenheit love, I should say. But the leather in this is very underrated. This is very underrated as a leather perfume. I think this is one of the best designers ever created, with everything from the, you know, presentation, the bottle, the marketing, the smell, I mean, they just absolutely hit the nail on the head. The violet leaf, the leather, it's beautiful, you know, and it's always different. You know, when you wear Fahrenheit, you always get different aspects of it too. That's the other thing that makes it very interesting. Okay, so we're going to number 11. And number 11 is a butch, feminine fragrance, heavy leather in this. Came out in 44. Robert Piguet is the house, and the fragrance is Bandit. Bandit is one of my favorite leathers because this fragrance is completely and utterly, it just doesn't care. I don't think it cares what other people think. You know, it gives off that vibe of, I'm going to do whatever I want kind of thing. If you don't like it, just get the hell out of the way. That's the vibe Bandit gives me. And it was supposed to be created for women's suffraging movement where, you know, they, you know, they had more freedoms and stuff like that. They could smoke in public and in bars, and you know, proper women didn't smoke back in the day, that kind of thing. So this was kind of one of those fragrances. Abenita by Molinard is another one that was kind of created with that marketing in mind. But I like this way more than Abenita because this is this animalic leather is basically what it is. It's an animalic leather with tons of aldehydes and lots of green notes in the top. So it starts off, you know, with this hit of this leather like you've never smelled before. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I don't even know how to describe it. But it's like this big, you get tarragon and you get galbanum. There's green notes and there's floral notes, but it all comes together to create one of the most butch leathers you've ever smelled. Like, you know, like it smells like, you know, you took a woman's purse, you picked some flowers, you put them in there, and then you ran the purse over with a car that was going so fast that the tire literally burnt onto the purse and merged the tire with the purse and the flowers and created this resinous animalic smell like you've never smelled before. That's the leather in Bandit. It is, I don't know how else to describe it. It's crazy. I love it. I love daring fragrances like this. I absolutely love them. All right, top 10. Here we go. And I'm turning around behind me because it's happening. Number 10 is Rochas Great Britain. This and Cuir Ottoman are connected at the hip for me. They are two peas in a pod. I think this is a better version of Cuir Ottoman. Great Britain is leathery and woody. Oh, it's a Russian leather, and it uses tons of ingredients that I absolutely love. Iris. There is one of the most amazing ambrette notes I've ever smelled in this. Ambrette, carrot seed, and tons of ambergris. The iris leather labdanum combination here is just stunning. You know, obviously the bottle's beautiful and all that stuff, but the juice inside is, and it deserves this presentation. This is one of my favorite leathers, easily one of my favorite leathers. Okay, that's number 10. Number 9. You go back to your home. Number 9 is a fragrance that I have been very smitten with. In fact, I kind of called it the leather find of 2021 for me. Maybe 2020, I can't remember. I just, you know, went on and on to Rich Mitch about this fragrance a year or two ago. And it's an eau de cologne from the house of Etro, and it's called Goma. Now, this is created by Edouard Fleischier again. Winner. Everything he makes is a winner. Lavender, Artemisia, jasmine, ylang, clove with birch, and woods. So you get woods, vetiver, it's animalic. It's got citrusy top components, but it's that birch leather combination that I absolutely adore. Oh, man. If you like Knitze 10, if you like Xerjoff Homme, check this out. This is very, very good. My favorite of the bunch, actually. Okay. Next, we are going to a Guerlain. And so, Great Britain was 10, Etro Goma was 9. This is number 8. And this is Guerlain's Derby. This version came out after they stopped doing... So this version was around... batch code is PT06T. So it's a 5-digit batch code. I think it was around sometime... This is probably like a 90s bottle or something. But... or early 2000s. But before they started to do those square bottles with the wood around them. Derby is my favorite leather Guerlain. It has this pimento pepper thing going on that will remind you a bit of Pâteau pour Homme. Absolutely it will. It also has mugwort and peppermint in the opening. And so it gives a very invigorating, fresh opening, but it dries into one of the most amazing spicy leathers you'll ever smell. It's a CEO scent. It's a boss scent. It's what I would wear if I went to the boardroom, you know. If the CEO said, come on up, Ramsey. You're promoted. Come on up here and sit with us. This is what I would wear. I would just wear this out of, you know, celebration of my promotion. That's the only way I can put this. It is... masculine. You will stamp your authority all over everyone wearing this, and I absolutely adore it. So, Derby, so glad to have a bottle. Okay, next, the countdown continues. Number 7. I've got to close this to actually get it, so bear with me. All right, number 7 is this. Eau de Hermès. This is the fragrance that I was alluding to when I was talking about Cuir Ottoman. You know, with the cumin and all that good stuff. Eau de Hermès is, I mean, it's my favorite Edmund Rudnitska fragrance. And Edmund Rudnitska is an absolute master. He's one of the greatest perfumers of all time. So to have my favorite Edmund Rudnitska fragrance, you know, it starts off very spicy, you know, almost like a red hot with cinnamon and spice and cumin, clover, cardamom, lavender. And then it dries into this birch leather, this beautiful leather. It's supposed to smell like the inside of a Birkin bag. Okay? So it's supposed to smell like the inside of a Birkin bag. You know, when they used to sell Birkin bags 50, 60, 70 years ago, the idea was that you could take Eau de Hermès, respray the inside of your bag, and it would give it that new Birkin bag smell, if you will. Like a new car smell, new Birkin bag smell. And then people started to demand the fragrance. They didn't sell this at first. They gave it away. They just gave it away with the purse. They thought, who the hell would want to buy our perfume? We're a leather goods maker. Well, people started demanding it, so they started selling it. And 1951, this was created by Edmund Rudnitska, one of the greatest fragrances of all time. This DNA is so respected by Jean-Claude Elena that I think he used it in creating Declaration, which is like a love letter to Eau de Hermès. I think he created it, or he used it when he created Cuir Ottoman, which made the top 50. I think he used it, even bits and pieces of it when he created things like he created oh, what am I thinking? He created Terre de Hermès, which I think has these little tiny hit of cumin right before it goes with the dirty, bitter orange. I mean, so many things he did are representative of the teachings that this fragrance brought to the world. So there you have it. Eau de Hermès. Let me put this back. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 6. Number 6 is this. Discontinued, unfortunately, but it's Pure Distance M. Whoops. It's Pure Distance M. There you go. Okay, so why is this so much higher than Rochas Fetiche? Well, this came out first. And Rochas Fetiche goes more in the smoky aspect. You know, more of the frankincense is highlighted there. This is a top 50 of my favorite leathers. And while I love the leather in Fetiche, I love it in Pure Distance M. I like it in Fetiche. I love it in Pure Distance M. Because the leather truly is the focus. It smells like the inside of a sports car. It really does. That smells like more like the inside of a church, which is fine. Church with leather pews, fine. But the leather here will still remind you of Bel Ami. Bel Ami was the inspiration. This came out in 2010, a couple years before Fetiche. And, you know, labdanum, resins, leather, oak moss, vetiver, cinnamon, patchouli. It's just a joy to wear. Seriously, this is a joy to wear. I love every time I wear this fragrance. And I will be wearing it again very soon since the weather's about to turn. It's September. Thank God it's September, man. Finally breaking the back of Texas's summer. Okay, now. Pure Distance M was number 6. Number 5. Number 5 is... Where is number 5? Here it is. Oh! Number 5 is Leonard pour Homme. Wow. What a fragrance this is. I don't understand for the life of me why people will pay, you know, $2,000 for a bottle of Patou pour Homme. But I had this almost full 100 ml I got from Amouage for $60. Why is the price differential of one vintage fragrance from 1980 so much different than something like this, which is so good? Yes, I love Patou pour Homme. I have a bottle. I adore it. But I also adore this. Came out the same year, 80. Ron Winograd is the perfumer who, by the way, if you want another perfumer who hit the ball square out of the park every time he swung the bat, Ron Winograd is one to just go buy every freaking thing he created. Leonard pour Homme is an absolute masterpiece. And I love the way the leather castoreum all comes together. There's a carrot note in here, a real carrot note, not carrot seed, carrot note. It's got that lavender, thyme, marjoram combo in the opening that the Italian fragrances have. But it dries like a proper animalic French 80s fragrance. It's just, you know, you could even say that since this came out many years before Fendi Uomo or Trussardi Uomo, that they took their cues from Leonard pour Homme. Because, you know, this used that combo, this, oh God, it's so good. I just can't understand how something like this can still be so cheap when vintage hunters are out there basically giving their wallet away to people for one bottle of Patou pour Homme. I don't get it. But whatever. To each their own. Leonard pour Homme, number... What's that, 5? Number 5. Number 4. Number 4 is one of the greatest leather chiffres you will ever smell. One of the best value for monies. I mean, you can't find a better fragrance than this, I don't think, as far as value for money goes. $100, $200, even $300. I mean, you know, this beat out the Roja. This fragrance is amazing, and I wish I had a backup, but I don't, but I'll just enjoy every drop. It is Estee Lauder's Azuré. Now, Azuré, to me, there's shades of Azuré and stuff like Diaghilev. Oh my God. Oh. I mean, the fact that this isn't hyped, to me, tells me that people don't trust their nose. They just follow their bandwagoners, you know what I mean? This should be, you know, vintage fragrance lovers should be all over this. This is like Diaghilev and Aramis come together and have a baby. The aldehydes Artemisia will remind you of Aramis. And you see I put this above Hermès. The difference is Hermès came out for men. This was a women's fragrance that came out a couple years after Hermès. And, oh my fucking God, the leather, the oak moss. You want to smell oak moss in a composition? Get a vintage bottle of, look at the bottle. Look at how the gold comes down. This is the bottle that you want. Do not buy the new one. Let me say it again. Do not buy the new one. The new one is absolute shite. Okay? Stick with the vintage on this one. And, God damn. I mean, what a fragrance. Easily could be number one, but I have some loves I have to stay true to. So, top three. Number three is going to be a combo. Number three, yes, I did say a combo. I'm not splitting these two up, so too bad. Antaeus and Antaeus Sport. Okay, together as one, number three. Oh my God. Antaeus, man. So the reason this isn't number one, and I struggled with this, because I think right now, if I redid my top 100, I think this would be number one. I think, okay? Just because of my personal taste. I am loving Antaeus right now. Every time I open my drawer to look at what I'm going to wear, I just want to wear Antaeus. I just want to wear Antaeus. Every time, wearing Antaeus just pops in my mind. Antaeus. But this is Castoreum in a bottle for me, you know? It's Castoreum. This has the myrrh in it. God. Oh, man. This has the myrrh with the rose and patchouli and labdanum. And, you know, yes, it's leathery. That's why it's on this list. But if I said leather was the main note, I think Castoreum is, you know, it gives that spicy, woody vibe where Castoreum plays a big, one of the best, my favorite Castoreum fragrance. And I mean, again, if it was my favorites to wear, I think this would be number one right now. This would jump Bel Ami, believe it or not. But for top 50 leather, this is number three. But a very solid number three. One of the, I mean, again, easily could be number one. Okay, number two. This is a fragrance you've seen on my brother's channel, Rich Mitch, recently. He just got a brand new bottle. I'm so glad he found a bottle because they are getting impossible to find. This is Chanel's Cuir de Russie in the 80s version. I adore this stuff. I just don't understand how Chanel created a fragrance that is animalic, leathery, spicy, floral, you know, that smells like you're smelling like a bunch of horses sitting around, like that shit on the floor and, you know, pissed on the floor and dirty horse vibe. How do they have this animalic horse carriage vibe while also being so goddamn posh, you know, high class? I have no clue how Chanel did this. This is an absolute masterpiece. An absolute out and out, you know, just, I have the perfumer that can create something like this and you don't. That's what Chanel is saying here. This is Chanel saying, look what I can do and look what you can't do. You know, this is Russian leather done in the posh Chanel style. This is harsh Russian leather, which I adore. Fine, I like it. You know, harsh Russian leather. The reason that this is here at number two is because this has this Chanel sparkle. So it's got the animalic stuff underneath and the Chanel sparkle. How do you do both? How do you walk that line? And they did it absolutely perfectly here. This is, if you said, Ramsey, you can keep one bottle, I would struggle, but I might pick this. Because, my God, man, I mean, I know I'm getting fired up here, but I mean, this stuff gets me going. And I think I'm going to wear it tomorrow for our live stream with Rich. And number one, you know it. I couldn't take it away from the top spot in a leather fragrance video. This is Bel Ami. All right, so this is the original shaker bottle. And I pulled out Bel Ami vetiver because I couldn't take the two apart. They are tied at the hip to each other. Oh man, I love Bel Ami vetiver, and I love Bel Ami, the original Bel Ami. I wore it a couple weeks ago. Oh man. Oh, I could just sit here and sniff this like I'm sniffing glue. Just, oh my God. It is so good. Russian Adam, actually, of Amouage Leather II fame, the great Russian Adam, that's going to be his name from now on. Russian Adam the Great. Russian Adam of Amouage Leather II fame, which sent me this really cool cap, by the way. He bought this on my recommendation, and I think he fell in love with it just like I did. He said, how is it that a perfumer like Jean-Louis Suizac, who by the way is also one of the greatest perfumers of all time, how is it that someone like him can create a fragrance this amazing without using real musk, real ambergris, real oud, that kind of thing? That's what Russian Adam said to me. And I said, you're exactly right. This is all skill. This is all perfumer skill. And of course, the ingredients in the 80s were high quality. Everything here smells absolute of the highest quality. Hermès, they didn't skimp on anything here. Everything smells great. From the spicy sage to the woody cedar to the spicy carnation. There's orris root here, which again, iris orris with leather. Oh my God. I mean, so there you have it. An hour and a half of me drooling over 50 of my favorite leather fragrances. I'll put it all in the description so you can check it out if you'd like. I appreciate you sticking with me. If you're still here, please, I know I usually don't ask this, but if you're going to like in any video, like this one, because I think people will get a lot of benefit out of this. You know, I do think that it will, you know, it'll help people make decisions on what's out there, because, I mean, these are literally some of my favorite fragrances of all time right here in one place. So you can get a feel for how I feel, what I'm thinking, what I'm reaching for, what I'm going for, that kind of thing. So I appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for sticking with me. Hopefully live stream tomorrow if you guys are available. I'd love it if you could join. We're just going to kind of kick the shit on fragrances we are excited to wear now that winter is coming, now that it's going to start getting cold. And so do let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what some of your favorites are. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me, where the rankings are. And I always appreciate the feedback. I love seeing your faces in the comments. Again, Eugene's fragrance is now available for purchase. Go buy it if you're interested. Go watch my review if you're interested in learning about La Daulaire Exquise. And thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers, guys. Bye now.